Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Innal hamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Brothers and sisters and friends and respected guests, I greet you with the warmest greetings of peace, the greetings of paradise. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon every single one of you. What an overwhelming event. I have to say, it's been very hard to hold back the tears. Very overwhelming. And I'd like to say, may Allah, the infinitely merciful, the loving, may He shower His mercy and His blessings and His love on everyone involved in IDC. Because this is the definition of hope. Someone like me who travels around the world, and we see a lot of negativity concerning Islam, this is hopeful. This is something that people like me and people like you have dreamt, and we wanted grassroots organizations, real organizations, sincere brothers and sisters, to basically engage positively in the UK and around the world. Because brothers and sisters and friends, I have to let you know that people are waiting for you. The Muslims are coming. Honestly, people are waiting for you. We live in a world where there is a moral vacuum. Do you know how many people die every year because they can't afford the winter bills? Do you know how many children commit suicide under the age of 14 in this country? Around 4,000. Many of them commit suicide in their own bedrooms. Brothers and sisters and friends, people are looking for this moral leadership. You just have to arise and warn. Articulate yourselves in a compassionate, warm way. And ignore the baggage. Ignore the haters and the naysayers. Because as Ilyas Karmani said, if you walk the walk, people will listen. If you act, people will engage with you. And I sincerely make dua to Allah. I supplicate to the one who hears all supplications and answers supplications, that Allah preserves this organization and Allah continues the good work. Because it was overwhelming. I mean, I was like making dua that I don't break down, right? So I'm here to talk to you about, brothers and sisters, da'wah. What does da'wah mean? Da'wah actually means to convey, to call. Allah says in the Quran, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbik." Call to the way of your Rabb, to your Lord, the sabil, the path of the Lord, the Master, the Creator of everything that exists. This essentially is what da'wah is. And obviously da'wah has two components. You make the call with your mouth, and you make the call with your behavior, with your state of being. Both are necessary. You can't have one without the other, as Allah says, وَمَنْ. وَمَنْ is here meaning and who. Allah is not asking a question, it's a rhetorical question, which means in Arabic balagha and Arabic rhetoric, the one who is better in speech is the one who calls people to God, to Allah, and does righteous deeds and says, I am one of the Muslims. You need these two components. Now from this perspective, brothers and sisters, I want to try to encourage you from a self-image psychological perspective to think that da'wah has to be part of your life. Now I want you to think about what's really deep inside your heart. Forget your mind for a moment. The intellectual gymnastics, put it aside. I want you to really swim in the depths of in the oceans of your heart and find that sincere space that really calls to Allah in the last third of the night, in your supplications, when you're driving alone, when you're thinking, when you're reflecting, when you're writing in your diary, whatever it is. I want you to find that space in your heart that says, Ya Allah, I want to come closer to you. Ya Allah, I love you. Ya Allah, I want you to love me. Ya Allah, shower me with your mercy and with your sakina, with your tranquility and with your love, because you are al-wadud, you are the loving, the excessively loving, and I want your love. Because without the love of Allah, there is no true love. It's just ego, it's ephemeral, it's empty, it's illusory. I want you to find that space, and when you see that space, reflect upon it. Because brothers and sisters, if you don't give da'wah, that space cannot grow. That sincere space in your heart cannot grow. That iman, that faith, that connection with Allah cannot grow if you're not engaging in da'wah. And let me explain why. It's the words of a beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said in a beautiful hadith, which we know was famously compiled by the famous scholar An-Nawawi in his Arba'in, in his 40 hadith, his 40 prophetic traditions. This is the 13th hadith of this compilation. The Prophet, upon whom be peace, said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. You won't truly believe, you won't reach that level of iman, of faith, of love with Allah, unless you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And this brotherhood doesn't mean Muslim. It doesn't mean Muslim. It means insaniyya, it means humanity. When we go to the classical ulama, the classical scholars, in the compilation, the book called the Compendium by Imam Rajab al-Hanbali, a contemporary of Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah and Ibn Taymiyyah, the famous scholars of Islam, he collected this hadith and analyzed it at length and said, this means human beings. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, this is also about people in general. So what is our beloved Prophet saying essentially? He's saying, you won't truly believe that space in your heart that you yearn for Allah's love, for it to grow more. It won't encompass the whole of your soul and the whole of your heart unless you love for others what you love for yourself. So I want to ask you a question, brothers and sisters. What do you love the most? What do you love the most? Think about it. It's Allah and His Messenger. As the famous scholar Al-Ghazali said in his book on Muhabba and Uns, on love and intimacy, he said, every human being loves themselves. Every human being loves themselves. What is this type of love? I want to prolong my existence. I want to feel pleasure. I don't want to feel pain. I want to be happy. And if you love yourself, you have to love Allah, because who created the physical causes in the universe in order for you to feel pleasure and to run away from pain? Who created love in the first place? Who is the source of love? Who is the loving? So if you love yourself, you have to love Allah. And Al-Ghazali says, the 11th century theologian, and if you love yourself and you don't love Allah, you're deluded. So from this perspective, we know we love Allah, right? Right? Yeah. We love Allah. Even if you're sinful, you love Allah. It's in our tradition. There was one Sahabi who used to drink alcohol, and then he faced the punishment, and one other Sahabi wanted to curse him, and the Prophet ﷺ said, don't help shaitan against your brother. This man loves Allah and His Messenger, which is a proof that you could be sinning but yet still love Allah. So have hope. Have hope in the loving that loves you more than your mother does, as per the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Have hope in the loving, in whose love you could not really understand and fathom. So we love Allah and His Messenger the most. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, give that love to others if you want to increase your iman, if you want to be a true believer. How do you give this love of Allah to others? How do you do it, brothers and sisters? What do you have to do? You have to give da'wah. You have to call them to this love. Call them to this love. And what better way than to get involved in amazing organizations like this? What better way? I feel humbled. Wallahi, I feel so small. There's love here. So support this. And the da'wah, brothers and sisters, not only does it define who you are, if you want to elevate your faith, you have to give the thing that you love to others. Not only does it do that, brothers and sisters, but your dua, your supplication is answered. We all have sick people at home or in our families. There's problems around the world, Syria, Iraq, even at home in Britain. One in 4 women are victims of domestic violence. Divorce rates have gone high. Children have no fathers, some orphans. Even in Chicago, in America, I was there only a few months ago. Children only go to school downtown Chicago to have the only meal they can because they're poor. There's poverty. We live in a social crisis and social fragmentation and decay. Excessive individualism. I'm alright, Jack, what's in it for me? This is the kind of life that we're living. And we make dua, we make supplication to the one who hears our supplications. And we want them answered. But brothers and sisters, if you don't get involved in the da'wah in the ways that you can, your supplication won't be answered. There is a tradition from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, you will command the good and you will forbid the wrong, the evil. And if you do not, Allah will send a calamity upon you. And you would raise your hands in supplication. Allah will not answer your supplication. Is Allah deaf? He's not deaf. He's the all-hearing, the all-seeing, the wise, al-hakim. But we are deaf to this call. And Allah doesn't inspire Muhammad upon him be peace to trouble you. He's saying this because He knows you better than you know yourself, and He doesn't want to burden a soul more than He can bear. So if Allah is giving you this from the religion, it means you have the capacity, you have the empowerment, and you have the ability to call people to Islam. Because if we don't do this, brothers and sisters, our supplications. I was in Hajj recently, making dua in Arafah, asking Allah for so many things. My parents to become Muslim, the da'wah to be successful, you to be successful, to feel loved and happy. But there's criteria. We have to walk the walk. We have to take one step at least. And as Allah says, if you walk to Allah, He will hurry towards you. So there's two major things here, brothers and sisters. Self-image psychology, deep, penetrating stuff. If you want your du'as to be answered, no calamities in the world. If you want to elevate your faith, to feel the love of Allah, da'wah is the way. Da'wah is the way. And if you want paradise, brothers and sisters, da'wah is the way. Allah says in the Quran, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Let there rise amongst your group of people, from a group of people, that they call to the good. يَدْعُونَ, they call to the khayr, the good. Ibn Kathir, the classical scholar, said, this is the whole of Islam comprehensively. They command the good, they forbid the wrong. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And they will attain success. Imam al-Qurtubi in his tafsir, the classical scholar, he said success means paradise. What is paradise, brothers and sisters? For me, I forget about the fruits and this and that. Do you know what paradise is for me? It's just no worries. It's no worries. I mean, I have children, right? And once you're a parent, you can never stop worrying. And I never realized that until I had kids. And paradise is bliss. Bliss on tap, brothers and sisters. Imagine being in a state of psychology where you're just feeling divine mercy and love. No idle speech, no ego, no worries, no problems, no calamities, no death, no killing. Salam. Salam. From as-salam. Peace from the source of peace, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are three major reasons, brothers and sisters. Defines who you are. It defines who you are. It prevents calamities, answers your dua, and allows you to enter paradise. If you don't even think about doing da'wah after this, then come have a chat with me. Now, there's something very simple we need to get involved in. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it very easy for us, brothers and sisters. He said, convey from me, even if it's one, ayah, even if it's one verse. Sheikh Uthaymeen, do you know what he said about this? He said, you don't have to be a scholar to give da'wah. You don't even have to have huge knowledge. The only criterion is that the thing that you call to, you must know. Who knows Surah Fatiha in this room? We all know Surah Fatiha. We recite it every day. You're 7 times qualified to give da'wah. Black belt 7 down. Right? The condition is, the thing that you give, just make sure you know about it. Imam Asqalani, the famous muhaddith, he talked about this prophetic tradition. And he basically said that conveyed from me, even if it's one verse, was said as a matter of urgency, that whatever you know, just give it. Because Islam is an urgent matter. Because death could be around the corner. As some Sahaba, when they used to tie one sandal, they thought they would never live to tie another sandal. So there are cards on the table, and we're launching a project, IDC are launching a project called Convey One Verse, which has been initiated by Islamic Education and Research Academy. Take the cards, and they're so easy. Let me just show you. Look at these beautiful cards. I was in a restaurant the other day, just left one near the flower pot on the table. My wife, she basically had to put some money to get the parking. She put it in the card slot. She didn't damage it, she just put it. So someone has to take it out in order to put their card in. Strategic stuff. It makes it so easy. Put it in the phone booth. You know, give someone a gift, give it to them. This is so versatile. Look at these beautiful ayat, beautiful imagery. Look at the ayah, look at the verse. How can you ignore God when you were lifeless and He gave you life? This is true. You didn't exist forever. You were once lifeless, and then you got life. And He will cause you to die, then resurrect you to be returned to Him. The rivalry in worldly increase diverts you till you go to your graves. Indeed, in the remembrance of God do hearts find rest. So easy. You don't even have to engage with people. We're making it very easy for you. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to make it very easy for you. Take these cards and just convey one verse, convey one ayah, brothers and sisters. Finally, in the last 3 minutes that I have, brothers and sisters, remember to take a lesson from today's event. Today's event taught me a lesson which was a manifestation, a practical actioning of the verse in the Quran when Allah says, and who is better in speech than the one who calls to Allah and does good deeds. Remember, it's not just about the calling, it's about becoming that thing which you call to. Being in the state of being, not being a human doing, a human being. Being in that state, just like the Sahaba. Because the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, although they lived in the best places on earth, Mecca and Medina, most of them died outside of Mecca and Medina because they knew that Islam was something so powerful and so great and so compassionate for the whole of mankind. They understood this and they had this sense of urgency. This is why, brothers and sisters, 80 years after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we were in Multan in Pakistan and we were in Spain because we wanted to give this message to people. And it was 82 years after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the Muslims decided to fix the mosque of our beloved Prophet. It was still dripping of water. It created a mentality, Islam created a mentality, brothers and sisters, that they wanted to give this beautiful message to the world. They knew buildings were nothing, pestle and mortar. But they understood the hearts were everything and they wanted to change hearts. Just like one Sahabi, he used to give breadcrumbs to an anthill next to his home. And his students and the brothers and sisters would ask him, why do you do this? And he said, I don't want to be accountable on the day of judgment. That Allah says I neglected the rights of the neighbor. These were ants. Look at the psychology of these people because they took one ayah, not only gave it, but they placed it here. Assalamu alaikum.